What's up, everyone, and welcome to another Hungover Podcast, episode 115. Today, we're going to be discussing the Overwatch role queue system, which will be implemented, I believe, at the end of August, if I'm not mistaken, September 1st.
Yeah, it will be in August because it'll go August to September.
They're going to have a beta.
The beta
competitive season, and then it will be officially implemented, I believe, September 1st, for quick play and competitive play. Of course, Overwatch is a game that's very popular, has been out for over 3 years. It's a very competitive esports game, and it's really reinvigorated our friendship, Ivan. We are still friends to this day because of Overwatch. It's also very popular in the cosplay scene, the porn scene, all the scenes, because it's a very popular game. Of course, it's made by Blizzard, and that's all you really need to know about it until we discuss it later on in the show. Of course, you can get this show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play in audio form. You can also get it in video form on our YouTube channel if you like to see our faces, and of course leave some comments. And we'd love if you gave us an iTunes review, because that really helps with our visibility. Ivan, we start our podcast out every single week in a segment called What Did You Do Last Week? I don't know. We don't have a name for this segment. Write in to the email address gaminghungover@gmail.com if you've got a good name for it. But we always ask each other what we've been up to in the past week in terms of video games, media, movies, books, etc. And what did you drink last night? But neither of us are drinking anymore, which is funny.
It's true.
No, I forgot.
What united us now separates us.
I forgot to tell you last week that I had 2 Peronis, so I might be getting back on that wagon as the adult AA alcohol. I'm not an alcoholic, I swear. It's because I got the gout. But I'm on medicine now that's really helping me out, so I can drink. Nice. I can drink every now and then, not too much, but I can definitely drink a couple beers if I want to, which is nice. But Ivan,
you can drink if you want to.
What have you been up to this past week?
This past week I've been playing some more Pathfinder Kingmaker. Mm-hmm. Made a little bit of progress there. It is a really long game, as I'm figuring out, and I'm just struggling through it day by day, doing the same thing over and over. I got to level 5, bitches.
Oh shit, not bad.
Yeah. So
is that a high? What's the level cap?
20.
Okay. So
and it takes a lot of time to level.
On your way.
Okay. I just got my kingdom, so I'm a baron.
Very cool.
And I'm trying to rule them all, like the Lord of the Rings. But in any case, I've just been basically playing that. And Overwatch, I was able to watch Stuber.
What is that movie about again? It sounds very familiar.
Stuber is the Kumail Nanjiani, Dave Bautista movie where Dave Bautista, you know him best as Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
He plays a cop who goes through like LASIK procedure and loses his eyesight and can't drive, so he orders an Uber, and the guy who picks him up is Stu, played by Kumail Nanjiani, and hijinks ensue as Stu drives Dave from crime scene to crime scene.
All right, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun summer flick.
It's really pretty funny. So Dave Bautista is kind of like less funny Drax. He's super one note, but in a worse way.
Typecast. The worst guy.
Yeah, for sure. And in general, I would say that this movie plays out kind of like these guys are hitmen and assassins and not nearly cops.
Okay.
Like the first scene, they're storming into this room. They don't announce themselves as police at all. And they just start shooting.
That's hilarious.
It's amazing. So lots of suspension of disbelief.
Okay. But it's a summer comedy. Come on.
Yeah, and Kumail Nanjiani is super funny. So I would go see this movie just to just to watch him do his kind of thing. Kumail Nanjiani, best known, I think, probably for Silicon Valley, but also for that movie he did with Ray Romano, where he wrote it with his wife.
He does stand-up comedy too, right? I think.
Yeah, he hasn't done it in a while. He was just on the Bill Simmons podcast and talking about how he's been out of the game for a little bit. But also, he stood up Conan O'Brien most famously recently, and that was pretty funny because instead, 30 minutes before he was supposed to go on, he canceled.
Oh.
So Conan had to bring on like his assistant and
stuff.
stuff.
Oh, I saw that popped up on my YouTube feed. YouTube feed. It was Conan interviews his assistant. Yeah, and I was like, I almost watched it, but I didn't.
I like Conan a lot, so I'll watch
too.
a lot of the stuff he does.
Yeah, he's very funny. I love the segments that he has when he goes to different countries. I think that's so funny. Those are my favorite. Like the one where he went to Japan, that was hilarious.
It was a good one. Yeah, and so Stuber, if you like Kumail Nanjiani's like brand of humor, which is that kind of dry humor, he's basically in every scene in this movie.
Oh, cool.
So it's a good one to go see that. I'd say it's a really nice summertime flick. I really want to go see movies. Crawl soon.
Ooh, okay.
It's the alligators are going to eat you movie.
Yes.
It's alligators are Jaws, but they're multitudinous, I assume. It's more like Deep Blue Sea, but with alligators or crocodiles.
Okay. That's...
So I'm excited for that.
I've never been particularly afraid of alligators or sharks. It's just not because they're not scary. They're horrifying things, but
just because they're not near you.
Yeah, they're not near me at all, and they're not a threat to me ever, because I'm never in an open body of water.
You're never to the Jersey Shore.
I don't go to the Jersey Shore, no. But yes, I think that could be a scary movie if done correctly. So, cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see that, and I will probably also see The Lion King at some point.
Oh yeah, that is becoming very popular.
Yeah, everybody's talking about it. We should maybe do another one of these things, especially since...
Review?
Yeah.
Okay. How is that movie being done? How is it live action?
It's like a 3D cartoon.
And Donald Glover is Simba, or?
Yes.
Okay. But not baby Simba. I just know he's probably the most famous person. No, maybe not, but in the cast. But he's just very
Eric
popular.
Andre is in it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, cool. Oh, he would be one of the hyenas, I'm guessing.
Beyonce is probably the most famous person.
Oh, I didn't know Beyonce's in it. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. No one compares to her. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Chiwetel Ejiofor is in it. Keegan's in it.
Keegan. Isn't John Oliver in it?
John Oliver is Zazu.
Yeah, perfect. That's actually a perfect role for him. Cool. No, I guess when did that movie come out?
Yes, it came out opposite Stuber
and Toy Story 4, right? And
I don't think it was opposite Toy Story 4. I think it was the next weekend or weekend after that.
Okay, because I guess Disney would have to stagger their large movies, because they would cannibalize themselves. That's interesting. I can't believe there are so many Disney movies coming out. They're really capitalizing on nostalgia right now.
The parents being able to bring their kids to
the movies that they saw.
The movies. Yeah, so it's basically kind of like a shot-for-shot thing, but using real animals.
Sometimes. I'm
guessing. Real
guessing.
Animals as the basis for the 3D animation.
Okay. So it's... Okay, that's fine. I mean, I have no idea how it looks. I assume it's got that Disney sheen on it.
Still just
like
looks
Marvel
worse than the cartoon.
Yes, I'm guessing. I like Disney animation a lot. I always think that they really get they really convey, or they figured out how to convey a lot of emotion in in their character models, and that's not something that's easy to do, and that's why they're famous now. I think, honestly, because kids really connected a lot with their movies in the 90s and of course before then. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess kids who have grown up with 3D animation nowadays connect with it in the same way that I connect with 2D animation or hand-drawn animation. But I don't know. I have no idea. I don't connect
2D
with it.
animation is great, and there's no reason for the Lion King to get this update that is kind of in that uncanny valley anyway. It still doesn't look realistic. I don't understand it. But I'm not making bucket loads of money.
Of course, yeah.
Disney is printing money off of this.
Yeah, so and they have no reason not to make another movie similar to this because they're making so much money off of it. And it's probably getting good reviews too. I can't imagine the voice acting is off at all with that cast, so I'm sure it's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I recommend Stuber.
Stuber. Yeah, let's
Julien, what about you?
Aside from Super Mario Maker 2, I just uploaded a new level actually just before this podcast started. I made a new level. So I don't really know how to get you to play it because it's a Nintendo game. So figure it out if you can. If you want, yeah.
Oh, there's a new Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, there's 2 new Nintendo Switches, almost.
Yeah, and I think that means that I might get the
powerful one, the regular one.
New regular Nintendo Switch, whose battery life is extended by like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's actually a significant battery life increase. And it's strange that they announced it after they announced the Switch Lite, which has a worse battery than the new updated Switch. So it just, I don't know. It was a weird announcement, but it's not like it's a bad announcement. They're just upgrading the processor in the regular Nintendo Switch, and that saves a lot of energy, or ends up saving them a lot of energy, so they can run the battery for longer. So that's a good update. I can't complain with it, and I think you should get one because there's a lot of great games.
And I think this is what the news was, that there would be a more like a Pro Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is what it ended up being. It's
just
an extended battery life.
I hope it's not.
Because of the efficiency of the processor.
Yeah.
I don't think that they'll release any more new Switches this year.
Oh, this year, no. I think maybe next year.
Next year, they might update it again.
Yeah.
But is it worth waiting another year?
I mean, if you don't mind going to a backlog of amazing games, you'll have like 10 amazing games to play that won't be on sale because Nintendo never puts their first-party games on sale. But yes, I don't know if it'll be worth waiting unless you care for the third-party games, which of course are great. They'll run better.
I don't think it's worth waiting.
I don't think it's worth waiting.
I
would get it.
New SKU.
Yeah, I would get it on Black Friday because there will be bundles. At least.
Good point. I guess I can wait a little bit longer.
Yeah. I don't think I mean you should I say just get it now if you actually want to play the games that are out. But if you were waiting for the games that are coming out in fall, which I think they have a really great lineup in fall this year, there's already like 4 games I want to play, but then get it now. I don't know. Will you have time to play it? Because you're going to be busy. So
yeah,
just don't.
But Mario Party though.
Mario Party.
I love Mario Party so much.
It's a fun
Anyway,
game.
Julian.
Yeah, for me,
I'm actually going to invest in a Switch in the near future.
That's exciting. That's really great news because you should play. I think you should play Zelda. I think you would really like the Zelda games.
Me too. I'm a completionist,
yes.
So I'll just have fun doing that. But as we all know, I'm bad at Japanese games.
Yes, we all know that. Okay, for me though, I've been playing more Super Mario Maker 2, as I just said. It's a pretty fun game. Infinite Mario, can't really complain. I uploaded a new level, and if you want the code for it, I can try to figure that out for you, and then I'll tweet it out or something. I don't know. Let's see. What else have I been doing? Oh, I've been trying to get back into Tekken 7. I really want to get good at that game because I'm moving on August 10th to a place that's closer to Next Level Arcade, which they have tournaments, not necessarily for Tekken 7 every Wednesday, but a really cool thing that they do on Fridays is that they just have meetups for fighting game players where you can just come and there's like it's a no pressure environment. You're not in a tournament setting, for instance. You just pay, I guess, the venue fee, $10, and then you can just play all night with people who are really good at fighting games. And it's just a practice session for everyone to get better as a whole. And I really like that mentality. So I think I'll at least go to those and then eventually start entering in tournaments. So that seems really exciting to me. Very excited. I love Tekken 7. And Evo's coming up, I believe, next weekend. Not next weekend. 2 weekends from now, if I'm not mistaken.
My favorite
Holy
tournament
crap.
of all time.
It's exciting. They released the entrant numbers, and Tekken 7 is just under Street Fighter 5. So it's the third most entered tournament. Of course, Smash has like twice the amount as both those games. If you added them up, it's like almost the same amount. And so
Under Night is this new game?
well, it's not exact. It's the new game to Evo, but it's not. It's kind of an older game, if I'm not mistaken. In my opinion, I think it replaced Smash Melee, which is a mistake because they could have gotten 2,000 entrants for Melee as opposed to Under Night. But I mean, that's my opinion. You don't need 2 Smash games. It's fine. But Tekken has had sustained growth, and this year is the most entrants they've ever had ever, and last year was the most entrants they ever had ever at that point. So it's really exciting that Tekken is still growing. It was in, I think, Evo 2015, so it's been there for 4 years now. This is exciting. So it's going to be a really hype ass tournament. I'll have to watch the top 8s after though, because I work on the weekends. Yeah, so I've been playing Tekken and Mario Maker and a little bit of Smash because I also want to get good at that game, and I know they do tournaments for Smash at Next Level Arcade as well. So
You're just gonna get good at everything.
I want to get good at fighting games, and I finally have the option to do that, which is really great because it's always been a hassle to get to these venues for me anyways, because like I have to travel an hour. I don't know if I want to do it just to get my ass beat and then that's it and lose $10 in the process. It's like I don't think it's worth it. But if I can just walk down the street if I can just walk down the street to the place, I'm more likely to do it. Anyways, and also I might get to meet some of the big streamers there. There's a Team Spooky. He's been streaming forever. He's been really huge on the fighting game scene in the East Coast at least. So hopefully one day I can meet that guy. He's a cool guy.
Wow.
Real New Yorker.
Nice. Real New York. So if I was to enter into any of these, I'd obviously get good at the lowest entered field, right?
Yeah.
Are there percentages of how much money you win is based on how many people are in that category? So
in
like
Evo,
Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle is 640 entrants.
Yeah.
Whereas Smash Ultimate is basically 3,500.
Yeah.
So do the Smash Ultimate people win a lot more money than the than the Blaze Blue?
Yeah, I think that's all dependent on sponsorships. So the people who run the tournament have to get sponsors, the big companies to sponsor the tournament, and sponsors will throw money into the prize pool. Not to mention the venue fee adds to the prize pool, I'm guessing, but it also pays for the venue, which is, I think, somewhere in Las Vegas. And so there's a...
Last year it was at Mandalay Bay,
Yeah,
I think.
they'll still have it there, considering how many people are going. Yeah, so I think I would have to guess the Smash prize pool is larger. I don't know if that's true, though. It's all entirely dependent, because Nintendo does not sponsor any of these things, and they would enter the most money into the prize pool. For instance, Capcom sponsors the shit out of this event for Street Fighter V, because they want that game to sell even more. And so they add a lot of money to the prize pool. And so Street Fighter V has a large prize pool as opposed to Smash, which probably has like a $20,000 prize pool. I don't know what it is.
The Cup Noodle is sponsoring EVO this year.
Cup Noodle, I think, sponsored last year as well.
4 years running.
They're awesome. They they also sponsored Final Fantasy 15. Go play that game. You can buy Cup Noodle.
Get real good at Blaze Blue and enter the tournament one year.
That game is fun. I think it's like Marvel versus Capcom a little bit. It's a tag game. It's real fast. It's really fast paced, and it's also an anime game, so you can double jump, and shit, and air dash, whatever.
Sweet.
That game's cool though. I like that game. I haven't played it much though. Anyways,
all right.
Ivan.
Yes.
Speaking of all this esports shenanigans, there's a little bit of changing going on to a very competitive game and a very popular game, Overwatch.
Yes.
The role queue system, which they announced, I believe, yesterday, has gotten, and today is, for reference, is July 19th. We're recording on Friday. This podcast will go out the following Monday. So yeah, there's a lot of hoopla going on the internet discussing this, because everyone has an opinion. So let's discuss our opinion, Vaughn. What do you think? Do you like this? Let's get it out of the way. Do you like it? Do you not?
So
or should we? Let's explain it first.
Yeah, the major thing is that there's going to be a lock onto how many of each type of character can go. So Overwatch, obviously, 6v6 team-based, objective-based game, FPS central. So you have... Previously, there was no limit on how many characters of any given type, and they reorganized them to be tank, support, and damage dealers.
Yes.
Previously, there were offensive and defensive damage dealers. Now there are only the damage dealer category. So they've shrank them down to having 2 tanks, 2 support, and 2 damage dealers.
Yes.
So within the support category, there's about 6 or 7 heroes. Within tanking, there's about the same. And within damage dealing, there's like 12 to 14.
I would say, yeah, it's the largest category for sure.
It's by far the largest category, and
also
has the most flexibility in terms of what to play, and has the largest, I would say, player base as well.
Definitely.
So when we're switching from, sorry, I'm typing and talking at the same time, probably a bad thing. Anyway, so we're switching from unlimited amount of tanks and supports, which cause things like the triple tank, triple support, or GOATS meta to be positive. Now we're locking into 2-2-2. So 2 tanks, 2 supports, 2 damage dealers. And so you can have that same flexibility of manipulating the roster based on the overdoing some heroes, because tanks were getting way too much play, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But also you are limited in the opposite direction with lots of really interesting and fast-paced combinations of characters, which was single tank and triple or quad DPS. So those were both... So I would say GOATS is less interesting in terms of what the product is watching it. It's a really difficult way to play because it requires a lot of cooldown management, a lot of communication.
Yeah.
And I think overall, especially in Overwatch League, the the bar was raised higher by everybody being forced to play goats.
Yes.
You can see teams that have really bad communication, really don't have a lot of team cohesion, sucked. Teams that were able to manage cooldowns, track ultimates, talk to each other, and work really well as a team, they excelled beyond belief. So the strongest teams that we have in the Overwatch League, like the San Francisco Shock, the Vancouver Titans, they excelled at this form of
NYXL.
NYXL. They excelled at this form of playstyle, and teams that weren't able to catch up to that really fell below where they were supposed to go. But at the same time, the product of watching it was really boring because every map was the exact same thing every single time. Now, if we remember beforehand, Julien, what was the meta before GOATs?
It was 2-2-2. Not really.
Dive.
Well, yeah, 2-2. Well, it was a little variant, but
tanks.
there was a lot of dive.
Yeah. So dive was the majority
Winston
of
Diva.
What people played. It was
Genji.
Winston Diva, Tracer, and Genji.
Yeah.
And almost
Maybe
always was the same thing. Then there was double sniper on some maps, but
once Hanzo got updated, yeah.
Yeah, but still dive tended to be the meta. But we could even, and dive was the meta in Overwatch before Overwatch League. So in Apex and things like that, dive had been around for like a year and a half to 2 years running. Mm-hmm. So people were also getting really tired of dive. And then GOATs came about with the introduction of Brigitte. And so now we're going to see a lot of heroes, maybe not a lot of heroes, but at least a few heroes need to get really changed, which we see already with the PTR with Brigitte.
Right, so these characters excel very well in the GOATs meta, but once the role queue is implemented, they will suffer a lot because, for instance, Brigitte is probably the largest changes going on because she's kind of useless in when there's only 2 healers and 2 tanks to heal. I would say
she is much better in a triple support role just because she's not quite a tank, not quite a support.
Yeah,
she does a lot of damage and has a lot of survivability as she stands right now. But
she works really well when she's in the center of the team and you have, for instance, 3 tanks in front of you and 2 supports behind you, and she can really disrupt a lot of and cause a lot of havoc because she's just protected by everyone and also protects everyone by herself.
Right.
She's a really cool character, or at least her design is. I don't know, if it depends what you think about her gameplay, but she definitely will not benefit from this role queue at all. So they have to completely rebalance the game.
I think she has been the worst character ever introduced to Overwatch.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people agree with that.
But it's
I like
up
her
there
design
between
though.
her and Sombra. But yeah, she her design is pretty cool. So now we'll have a limited amount of combinations of different kinds of characters, but I think still we'll have a large amount of variance within the way that the game is approached and tactics which are used. And I think that's what I'm excited for. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for, can we, with balances that have occurred since the dive meta, can we go back to a 2-2-2 that isn't dive, but will be more intriguing to watch and play? I really love sniper play, even if it's really boring to just watch the sniper, but when you see people clicking heads, it's really fun. Now, as opposed to that, where we get into my level of play, because Julien and I are not the best Overwatch players, we just really enjoy playing it. It's going to really benefit our level of play because A, we won't get people who pick 4 DPSs, and B, the people who are going into those roles know that they're going to be forced to play that role. So should be a bit more reliable in terms of what they want to play.
Right, and they sort of tried to do this. They sort of played around with this a couple months back, or maybe it was last year entirely. It must have been like
I
a
think it was
year
last
ago.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where with the group up system or the finding a team system, where they basically said you can create a matchmaking sort of you basically call out in the pool of Overwatch players um, that you want a team that has 2-2-2 or three tanks, three healers, and you create a role slot that people can then fill because they want to play the healer role, and then they'll be locked to that role when the game starts. So they sort of played around with this, but that sort of devolved back into the toxic mess that the Overwatch community sort of fosters as a whole. Because I really think that there are some people out there in the Overwatch community that are there just for the memes. They're the kids that are
Really
there to literally drop. There's a lot of people that are smurfing, which is, I guess, I don't know. That's not in reality. That's not that cool. There's a lot of people that are in the process of smurfing, so they're just losing games on purpose. There's some people that get triggered just by anything and then become a baby and just stop playing the game. So that makes up a large percentage of the Overwatch community, I would have to say, or at least in our experience. Maybe it's just on the East Coast. I don't know.
It's a yeah. Well, East Coast sucks, and B, I think it's just a large enough portion because the way that Overwatch works is it's really dependent on 6 people, even if they're not the best. They have to work together in some semblance.
Yeah.
And when you get like the team, especially at gold or bronze or silver ranking, the team that has the player that's going to like throw a shit fit and not play their hardest or like fuck around, that team is going to lose way more often.
Yeah.
And I know that happens at higher rankings as well, but I don't know, maybe it just feels like that at that point people are more specialized and so aren't forced to play things that they don't necessarily want to play all the time. But at the same time, I don't know, because I see streamers who are complaining like, I lost my last 2 games because we had 4 supports or 3 tank players.
Right.
Or 4 tank players, and we couldn't get a team together that was going to be good enough.
Right. So basically the way this role queue is going to be implemented, or at least from my knowledge of it, again, they just announced it yesterday, is basically you have your tank, DPS, and support role, and you're going to just click on the one that you want to play. Say I want to play Zenyatta, I'm going to click the support role, and then it's going to find another support player for me to play with, and then 4 other people, 2 on tank, 2 on DPS. So I'm going to be automatically locked into that role when I select it, when I click competitive play or quick play. So it's going to be implemented in both. And I believe the idea behind this, I see in the comments of literally just the playoverwatch.com news article that people are like, oh yes, put it in competitive play, but leave quick play alone. Let us dick around in quick play. And I think quick play is designed to mirror competitive play, but just have it without the ranking.
So I think, what they said is that there will always be an option in arcade.
Yes.
That will be classic quick play. So classic quick play being what we know now.
Right, and that's fine with me.
So quick play has evolved from being you can choose unlimited amounts of all of the heroes to mirroring competitive, and now we have mirror competitive and classic quick play, which isn't even classic quick play.
It's all right. This game has changed so much since the beginning anyways.
Yeah, it has. It really has. And I'm really glad for this update.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it. All of the news that I've heard from like
basically
Overwatch
should
League
stop
players is that they are really excited for it. This season is the best season that Julien and I have had yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means for us. Are we going to have a better season when people kind of come back to check out
Probably
what
worse.
role queue is? Or are we going to have a much worse season? Regardless, I'm excited for the prospects. The one thing that I think is limiting is like when we were in when we did looking for group for a while,
Yeah.
because when you first started looking for group, it was actually really decent.
Yeah, and
Julian
you
and I
could
went,
also require that they have a mic, which I
Yeah.
thought was cool too, because it is a game about communication in some ways, in many ways.
in the best of ways
Yes.
and the worst of ways. And so when we started doing the looking for group, we climbed really far, really fast.
Yeah, it
I feel
definitely
like,
got me out of. I was in bronze at one point, and I think it got me
Yeah.
out of bronze. if I'm not mistaken.
I think so for sure, because we started getting teams that were going to play together and do their thing. But we also noticed that when there was a limitation, so in looking for group roll queue, you could limit that they had to play in that position, or they could swap around.
Right.
And when we came up against, sometimes we came up with teams and against other teams where limiting in that fashion really was restrictive with our success. So sometimes
Yes.
we needed to switch, or we needed to get back to the point faster. So we needed like somebody to be able to switch to Tracer or Soldier in order to just help stall out, right? While the person with the ultimate came back. But you couldn't do that because you were locked to tank or to support. So in this way, I think that there will need to be some level of adjustment in order for teams and players to really feel comfortable with that as a lock. Because as much as I really love playing whatever role I'm forced to play, so like recently we were just playing on what was that, Junkertown, right?
Yeah.
And I was off tanking the first defensive round, and then we were getting our ship pushed in. So then I just switched to Bastion to do pirate ship, as is still the best strategy on that map.
Yeah.
And we were able to
We won that match.
rock out.
Yeah.
Got so many kills. They weren't able to stop us. Then when we defended, again, I was still on the damage dealing hero. I think I switched to like Hanzo
Right.
and other stuff. But I'm afraid that if we played that same match and I'm not able to switch from off tank to damage dealer, we are shit out of luck.
Basically, you should only queue in DPS. Yeah.
But that's the thing. So you will have 4 different SR rankings, each of them based off of your different role. So you'll have
And what's
an SR
the
ranking.
fourth one?
So you'll have an
overall?
SR ranking for damage, tank, support, and your overall ranking.
Oh, I didn't
And
know there
will
was an
be
overall.
4 different leaderboards as well,
Okay.
each of them for the separate roles, plus an overall, which is going to be interesting. So you're going to need to get good
As a healer.
with all of them if you want to be the number 1 player in the world. So
I like
it's going to
that,
be really interesting
actually.
to see how that plays out. Like the people who are most flexible at the upper tiers, I'm excited to see who they are. But a lot of them I feel are going to just try to get number 1 in their own respective thing.
Okay.
But also, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that in the overall ranking system, because obviously, I think people who are generally tank players at higher levels have worse aim or other things
Right.
than players who aren't. So I still think it kind of favors those who are like better at aiming. But who knows? I don't
We'll
know.
see how it
I like
plays
the
out.
fact that you could climb to the number 1 of the leaderboards by playing like hamster. Like recently, Yeedle, who is a Twitch streamer, he climbed to number 1 rank, and his top 2 heroes picked are Hamster and Roadhog.
Okay.
I think they were the top 2 that he picks, and so it a lot of the times the top leaderboards weren't DPS players. So maybe this will give them a chance to be higher on those leaderboards, or maybe, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and they're going to have to tinker with the system, obviously, but it also might dilute the importance of certain aspects of that. But again, we're not at that ranking, so I don't know.
Yeah. And also, I guess a little more about how the system's going to work. Once you queue, it'll tell you the average wait time for each each role. So if you want to play tank, it'll tell you, oh, it's going to take you around 10 minutes to get a match because there's a lot of tank players out there. Or I guess that's more likely in DPS role. And then, but here on support, you might only wait for 2 minutes. You don't know. So I think that's a good incentive to get you, if you really want to play the game, I think that's a good incentive to get you to play a different role, for instance. Although I don't necessarily know. It's an incentive, rather. Yeah. I don't know if it's
They'll also
the
give
best
loot boxes
incentive.
for certain, like,
I'm sure they will.
Support will obviously be one which will get loot boxes a lot, I feel.
Okay.
So there will be outside incentives also to switch different things. But I also wonder, like, we play duos a lot.
Yeah.
So how is that going to work? And how is it going to affect our queue times? Like, are we both going to be locked into a single thing? Are we going to have the flexibility to do two different things? Are we going to be able to duo queue?
I'm sure they will retain that. It's just going to take longer. Or the person who picks, let's say I pick support and you pick DPS, right? It's going to be limited by your queue time, not mine. Because, well, I'm guessing. Who knows? Maybe everyone plays support, right? Maybe the queue time shoots up for support. I don't know. It's going to be limited by the longer queue time, I would say.
I would say clearly support is the least played.
You never know, man. You never know. No.
But then you can just go DPS Moira. So who
final.
gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly. We might see that a lot more.
You get people are forced to play things that they don't want to play,
right?
And they'll either get good at them or they'll be bronze.
Mm-hmm. That's true, man. It's true. You also mentioned to me just now before we started recording that your SR is not going to decrease if you lose games. Did you say that?
No, it won't decrease. It will decrease. Your SR will decay. So
I don't know what
decay
that
is different
means.
than decrease. So decay is at the upper echelons of
this doesn't
Overwatch.
Affect us.
No, it doesn't affect us unless we get real good real fast. At the upper echelons of Overwatch, if you don't play for a while, your SR decays, which means it goes down.
So
they're going to get rid of SR decay, which is intriguing to me because I think it'll be a balance out. Basically, like, you're a tank main. And you're forced to play support and DPS, but you want your SR to go to your overall SR to be number one in the world, or in your region, I guess, because it's region locked. So you want your SR to be number one in the region, so you play enough games in support and DPS to get high enough that your tank SR can make up for it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll never have to play DPS or support again because you can just keep playing tank.
For that season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a way to make sure that kind of happens, so you don't force people who don't want to play those roles to not have to play those roles more than the 10 combined games between each of them. So the placements are going to change. Instead of 10 overall placements, you get 5 placements per category to determine your SR. And they're doing a lot of work in the background with MMR, how to start that placement. So everyone is not starting from zero in terms of their SR heading into the new system. They're going to use your MMR as a way to balance into your new SR.
Okay.
An MMR, for those of you who don't know, is like the secret background analytics that they use to basically build teams.
Right.
So they try to build MMRs that, in the background, that are like a balance between DPS, tank, and support.
Mm-hmm. Right, so
and a balance of overall ranking.
Right, so your SR is a reflection of essentially how many games you've won, your win-loss ratio in a way. I'm not sure if that's exactly true, but if you win more games than you're losing, your SR is going to increase. But your MMR is a reflection of your skill in the game. So you could be carried by a lot of people, and your SR might be really high, but your MMR might be really low depending on how well you're doing in the game, in these games.
And on particular heroes too.
Yes.
So I would assume that they've really worked out the MMR system, and it'd be really crazy cool if we had somebody that could show us our MMRs. I'd love to see them. But now we'll have an opportunity basically to see what that MMR is in the most crude way, because we'll see where we get placed this first beta season.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Do you want to quickly go over some of the changes to the heroes that are currently in the PTR?
Yeah, so the biggest change is probably going to be to Brigitte.
Yes.
Like we said before. So Brigitte is the character who most prevalently pushed Overwatch to the 3-3 meta.
Yeah, I would say
the GOATS meta. And so she's going to get some major reworks. Do you remember what those are?
She's getting a change to her health pack. Recently, I guess she has a cooldown on her health pack currently. Basically, she can throw out an armor pack to her teammates, and she can do that once per 10 seconds. I don't know how long. It's 5 seconds, let's say. And so that basically makes her useless. Let's say you're holding the high ground with Brigitte. You're the second support if this 2-2-2 goes through, right? It will go through. But you've got a Mercy, you've got snipers, you've got tanks up there, and you're Brigitte up there on the high ground. You're doing nothing after you've let out your health pack for however long, and then you're just standing there. So this is why this character really needs a change, because she can't do anything unless the team is in a brawl, I think, unless there's an enemy within her flail distance. Otherwise, she's useless. So this is why they're going to give her, I believe, 3 health packs. So she'll have, like Symmetra has 3 turrets to throw out. She can throw out 3 health packs to different teammates, or maybe I guess she could throw out 3 health packs at once to one teammate. That's actually kind of interesting.
Yes. And instead of instantly healing, they will be a healing over time.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
So it'll be a 2 seconds of healing instead of instantly. And if you throw multiple packs at the same person, the healing over time just kind of extends.
Okay, so it's like...
I still think there's a max cap on
cap.
the additional armor that it throws on top.
Okay, sure. That's okay. So that's cool. So they're giving her an ability to heal more people, or just one person, a lot more, pretty quickly, I guess. Not necessarily instantly, but quickly. So that's a good increase to her ability there. They're also going to decrease her survivability. So Brigitte can, I guess, infamously can basically win any one-on-one fight, at least at our ranking, in the gold to platinum ranking right now. If you turn a corner by yourself and you see a Brigitte, you should turn the other way, because you're going to lose that fight, especially if you're a DPS character and you have bad aim. Mostly the bad aim, because she can stun you, and then she starts healing herself when she does damage. So that's why she's very dangerous in the GOATS meta right now. So they're going to decrease her shield, which currently has 500 health. They're going to decrease it to 200 health. And again, they might tweak this. Who knows? It's in the PTR right now. But typically, things in the PTR don't get changed once they're there, or at least in my knowledge.
Not drastically, in the very least.
Yeah, and she's also going to heal herself less. Her self-healing has been decreased as well. So her survivability is going to go down the toilet, I would say. Brigitte players are going to have to adapt to this pretty quickly, because if they still want to pick her.
Kick out Brigitte one-tricks from GM, which will make lots of those players super happy.
Thank God. Not that we're in GM. But yeah, so
her shield bash stun is also decreased. Her ultimate costs more, but her whip shot goes out faster and retracts faster.
Okay,
So
yeah,
she'll
I
be
like
able to
that.
push people back a bit more. So even though overall she can't just stand there like 300 health less than the Winston barrier,
Yes.
but she can, she'll be able to stop some incoming damage, heal herself up a little bit, heal others more consistently.
Mm-hmm.
She should with the three repair packs, but in general, I think this will be an interesting hero to track how she'll change. I still think she'll be played less and less and
Yes,
less
her usage
in a
is going to drop
2-2-2.
a lot.
But it will still be important at lower tiers to have somebody who can stun Reaper, stun Doomfist,
Right.
stun Tracer. So there will still be some utility for this character at different levels, and I think that's what's critical to understand. So not all of Overwatch changes are geared to help X tier. So although the what XQC calls the normies or whatever who are playing at Jane's plat chat level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those lower tiers of people who can't deal with Reaper coming into the back lines.
That's us.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So we have those people who are like, Reaper is too buffed, but at the upper echelons of Overwatch, he's not played.
Right.
So this will be an interesting balance
Gamers,
to see,
essentially.
to see will Brigitte
broken.
be able to be played at higher levels, or is everybody just thankful that she's not going to be played anymore?
Right.
And if you look at Overwatch League team structures, it's like DPS players were switching on to playing lots of Brigitte, You have like Rascal, who is a DPS projectile main, who plays SF Shock, and he's the main Brigitte player, at least was. So it'll be interesting to see how this rebalances, and I think they're going to start the next stage of Overwatch League with this 2-2-2.
Stage 4. Gonna be exciting. I wonder... we can keep discussing character changes. There's still a few. But I also wonder how much of this decision is based off of viewership in Overwatch League. Or do you think I'm reading too much into the weeds?
I think it's based on not just Overwatch League, but I think it's a balance of Overwatch League and Overwatch player base.
Mm-hmm.
Because people were so sick and tired of GOATs and playing GOATs, and they just wanted to play an FPS, right?
Yeah.
And GOATs has very little FPS in it.
That's essentially how I... Well, I mean, not that we ever played GOATs, but I can't wait. This is why I can't fucking wait for Halo to come out on PC. But... yeah, like I can't play. I'm too afraid to go play competitive Overwatch unless I'm playing with Ivan, because I know my SR is just gonna drop, because I'm gonna be paired with 5 people who don't know what they're doing.
And I'm ironically also afraid to play Overwatch without Julien.
Exactly. For some reason, I don't even know.
It's just a little safety blanket.
Yeah, it's just like at least we have
nice.
one person on our team that knows what they're doing, or at least I can communicate with them, right? I know I can communicate with them. But so this is why I can't wait for Halo, a game that is entirely based on your skill. No, I'm kidding. There's a lot of team play in Halo, but there's a lot of, you can definitely carry your team in Halo if you're good enough. Not that I'm that good, but I feel like it's much, at least on my level, it's much less of a team-based game, and much more, I just like Halo. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I like Halo
like
too,
Halo.
and I like games that are only gun shooters.
Yeah.
They get way more boring to me than Overwatch does.
Yes.
The fact that Overwatch has different game modes is super intriguing to me, and I mean game modes not in like SWAT versus
Team Slayer,
Headhunter versus Team Slayer, or Capture the Flag. But even Capture the Flag versus just playing Team Deathmatch is a big boon.
Yeah, it's huge.
And
Skull.
I like the fact that this is an objective-based game, So
No, I like
I
that
don't
too.
know.
I just
And the fact that
want
you
to
can
play
heal and
competitive.
things.
I like the healing as well. I still applaud them for making the healing role like actually an engaging role to play, unless you're playing Mercy, which doesn't matter. But
Shoot,
I
Mercy.
can't believe that like I'm essentially a healer main at this point. I just like playing the healing role, and also we apparently need it all the time. But
Yeah, competent healing is hard to come
yeah,
by.
so I like playing the healing role in this game. It's very fun to me, so I don't mind playing it. So I'm probably gonna roll Q in the support role a lot. It's just I can't wait for Halo in general. I just like Halo. The vehicles are super fun.
Yeah. So the other thing is like, is this Overwatch change a preventative to get a player base back before
Right.
other big titles come in?
Or
You know?
Overwatch. I think they said that they're making Overwatch 2, if I'm not mistaken.
They're still making heroes for this game.
Are
So,
they?
yeah.
I didn't know that. I guess maybe this game will go on forever then. That's
So
exciting.
there was a leak when they were doing the roll queue. There was a leak of
Another character slot or
a
something.
new character because somebody had been playing that new character
Cool.
in their character slot.
Okay, that's exciting.
Like so, Hero 31 leak.
There's only 30 characters? I thought there were like 40.
Yeah, a character named Sigma.
Whoa, cool.
Because of a certain picture.
Well, I would say unless...
I sent it to you in Discord.
Okay. I think they maybe... I doubt the player base has really dropped off incredibly based off of how long it's gone on this game. Unless they've really tuned the matchmaking time, which or the matchmaking system, which I assume they have. They're constantly doing that. But recently, when we've been playing, which we've been playing a lot this past week, we've been instantly getting into games. We'll wait maybe literally 3 seconds for competitive to queue us up into a game. So or less, right? So I think the player base is certainly there, and this will get a lot more people back into playing the game. For instance, the people, which may be good or bad for us because we'll get queued up with them. But this will bring people back in who didn't like the GOATS meta, which apparently was happening in our ranking. I don't think that's true at all. We rarely saw it, so...
even if we saw it, it wasn't the real thing.
Yeah, it wasn't done well.
It wasn't, yeah.
So I think, and I would say gold to platinum is where the middle of the pack, so it clearly has the most players, unless silver is the middle. I would say the Gaussian mean is in the gold and platinum ranking.
I think plat is the majority of players.
The median. Yeah, so maybe I'm below that, but Vaughn has made it into platinum, which is great. So that's great for him. Good job. No, so we're in the median. We are the median player based off of ranking, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're getting there.
Well, yeah, we're on the average ranking there, so clearly we have some sort of idea of the representation of what's going on in competitive play, I would say. And we don't see many GOAT players out there. GOAT players. Anyways, this game's super exciting to us. Do you want to talk about anything else in particular, Ivan?
Symmetra's gonna get our teleporter update, which might be interesting.
Yeah, man.
Again, I'm just waiting for Season 4 of Overwatch League to kick in and see what new shit is going to happen, because I'll actually be interested in watching it. I think one Overwatch World Cup of GOATs was enough for me, and then I really stopped watching Overwatch League after the Stage 1, so maybe Stage 4 is where I come back in.
Well, I would say that they've maybe... I would say it's basically now... what Overwatch League, the past stage has been, Stage 3 that is a lot of a lot of one team running goats and then the other team trying to counter it with a different strategy, not necessarily goats. With 3 DPS or sometimes 2-2-2, very rarely, I would say, but 3 DPS, they try to pick off someone with a Widowmaker or something. So I would say there is definitely some variation going on, because some of, like you were saying, the team that has better communication in the goats mirror is going to win. But
Yep.
and so some teams have tried to adapt to that because they are not as good at goats as, say, NYXL or Vancouver, and so they end up losing, right? Or so they have to adapt or die. It's kill or be killed out here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Symmetra's getting changes, Brigitta's getting changes. Those are the two that have the hugest ones, but otherwise, it's going to be an interesting balancing act for them to rebalance the game. And I am also very excited for this. I am always excited when Overwatch changes, because it, for some reason, happens a lot. You know, this game keeps bringing us back in. They've managed to make a game that is entirely multiplayer based and kept it going for a very, very long time. So I'm very excited. They have a lot of people working on this game that care a lot. So I really like the development team. I hope they're not getting destroyed in crunch. Yeah, because that is a sad thing that happens.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ivan, is that all?
And that's it for us.
Okay. Well, that's great. We end our podcast every single week in a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener, can send in, or viewer, can send in your music to gaminghungover@gmail.com. That's where we will get the MP3 or whatever you send in and play it at the end of the podcast. This is a really great free advertisement for you. All you have to do is just send it in, and I will put it at the end. Hopefully it's not... well, I'll listen to it first to see if it's appropriate, but not that I put anything that's, like, okay, whatever. Anyways, just send it in. All right, anyways, send it in. I don't know what I'm talking about. If no one sends in a song, I'm going to pick a video game song because we don't get copyright strike for that. So today, I'm really getting back into Tekken 7, and I'm going to pick my favorite song from it, which is Soak. The stage is called Souk, S-O-U-K. No, S-O-U-Q, sorry. And I think it has a really cool... It's actually my favorite stage, and it has a really cool song that I like. So we're going to play that for you, and I hope you guys have a great week. Vaughn? You too, man. I hope you have a great week, too.
Thanks, dude.
You're welcome.
You too.
All right.
That really made me happy.
All right, man.
All right, man.
All right.
Bye.
See ya. Goodbye.
See ya.